We also want to thank the executive. We thank His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, together with the leadership in the executive, legislators, or those who are in both the National Parliament, Senate, county governors, and all leaders of goodwill for their support. We have called on our leaders through courteous calls, asking for support. And I whispered this morning to our chief guest, His Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, and I've also been on our Minister, our CS Interior, that if there was a time NCIC needed all the support, like IEBC, and the agencies especially that are working through what we call the multi-sectoral collaboration, is now. If there was a place, our chief guest and our cabinet secretary, you really push to making sure there is adequate resourcing, is in NCIC. Why? Before elections, we must safeguard the peace landscape of this country, so that that vision that the president has, all of us have, what we would want to see, what we have had, is actualized. I close by saying, together, let us choose peace. Together, let us protect our democracy. Together, let us build a united and cohesive Kenya, for we are a people guided by one people, one nation with a shared destiny. Thank you so much. It gives me great pleasure now to welcome to this podium the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Interior, Waziri Onesmus Murkomen, to take over from here. And then, after you're done, you bring to us, to the podium, thank you very much, our chief guest. Thank you.
Pigeni makofi Chair wa NCIC. Asante sana. I think I will need some help here with my gadget, with the person who was here. First of all, let me say the Chair, Your Excellency, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, the Chair of the NCIC, our friend and our very robust Chair, Kefo Mai. I know him as Bishop, but now I can see you're preaching the gospel of unity and cohesion. He tells me Matthew 5:9. The Chair of the IEBC, who is also my senior colleague in the legal profession, Erastus Ethekon, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, the commissioners, the excellencies from various agencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. Good morning once again. Good morning. As you can see, I've lost my notes. So if I speak a lot, that is the problem of technology. Next time I'll come with a backup. First of all, I'm very, very much appreciative of the fact that you have invited us to this very important forum. As a ministry, we are very, very excited with the work you're doing, and for starting on the right note. Congratulations, Madam Chair. There was a period of time that we had a huge gap, and that is when I realized that you need NCIC, and we need NCIC. And so let me start by saying that for your thoughts, for your plans, for the appreciation of the environment you're operating in, it looks like you are a team that was predestined to be here because I can see, and Kenyans need to appreciate that your understanding of the environment you're operating in means that the process that identified you was a proper process. And we truly appreciate the work you have done. Maybe let me have my phone. Nowadays, you don't need to carry speech. You just carry your phone and then you whatever, your whole speech is here. Okay, she had succeeded. Thank you. Thank you very much. Asante sana. Let me say that I want to thank the Prime Cabinet Secretary for gracing the launch of this very important document at the invitation of National Cohesion and Integration Commission. Thank you, Prime Cabinet Secretary. There would be no better person to launch such a document. I have always said that in the political scene, you are the test of the reasonable man. So, so having you here is the right thing. You need to have a leader present in such an environment who has a track record of having never thrown one stone. I appreciate the work you are doing, Your Excellency, with the President, and your track record over many years in your political circle. You have kept high level of integrity, and that qualifies you to speak on matters of national cohesion, integration, and peaceful elections. So you are really the right person befitting to come and launch this very important document. The Ministry of Interior stands ready to work with NCIC and IBC and all the relevant agencies to translate the roadmap, roadmap into action. The 2027 general election must demonstrate that Kenya can compete politically without sacrificing peace, unity, and national progress. The lessons we learned from the 2007-2008 general election remain a national reminder that electoral violence carries a human, social, and economic cost that no Kenyan should be willing to repeat. The 2027, therefore, is an opportunity for us to disagree without dividing, to compete without destroying, and to choose leaders without violence. I really like what somebody said earlier. I don't know if it was the chair of IBC, that you know that 70% of Kenyan population is below 35 or thereabout. I guess about the same percentage are voters in Kenya. And therefore, a good number of them were actually basically toddlers in 2007-2008. We assume that some of us who were young those days still think we are young. And so you assume everybody's, since you meet a 20-year-old, you think they know what happened 2007-2008, except what they read from the papers and so forth. And then we have a very poor teaching methods in Kenya where history is not considered very seriously. And you know, if you see other progressive countries, they keep repeating incidences as history as part of their teaching and lessons for their people. So many young people may never really appreciate what happened in 2007-2008. But those of us, most of us who are in this room, understand what happened. And it's important for us to say that in these elections, we choose as a Kenyans, not leaving it to government or to the National Police Service or the Ministry of Interior or the National Cohesion and Integration Commission. We need to choose that we can disagree without dividing our country, and we can compete without destroying either lives or property. Our task now is to institutionalize peace and ensure that the 2027 is remembered for the maturity of our democracy, not for the division. Ladies and gentlemen, security must create the conditions in which Kenyans can participate freely while remaining professional, impartial, and firmly within the Constitution and the law. Security is not simply the absence of violence. It is an environment in which Kenyans can assemble, campaign, speak, vote, and engage in public life without intimidation or fear. And I've emphasized the word intimidation or fear. Because the rhetoric that is out there now is that people are being told that if we hear you campaigning for X and Y, yeah, you are ostracized, you are msaliti, you are betrayer. That is violence. That is violence. Violence doesn't have to be there guns and stones. The moment someone feels like, if I have in a certain, community or locality, I cannot be allowed to speak about my political views freely because I have been intimidated. In fact, to the extent that politicians are saying, if we find an agent of a political party or a certain political player, we will do something to you. That is violence. That is violence. And so the same people speak on both sides. They're talking about goons and they're propagating violence in the same meeting. So we need an environment that which Kenyans can assemble, campaign, speak, vote, and engage in public life without intimidation or fear. And let me say this, why I agree with everybody who has said here that security is not about police, it's not about National Police Service, it's about all of us. It's because, just imagine, how many police officers do you need to deploy to monitor every activity that is going to happen in the country? You can't. There has to be a culture in this and the acceptance in the society among all of us that we want to have an environment that is peaceful, and therefore it starts with us. Interestingly, Bishop, now that you are here and you are Bishop, interestingly, this is the same country that calls himself 80% religious, and most of them say they are Christians. And these statements are being made in church, And the Bishop will conclude with a prayer without standing and saying, no, I disagree with what these people have said here. Members of this church, go home, vote for whoever you want to vote for, you will still go to heaven. It is the same. It's the same environment. It's until now, another day, another person, and then we say we are Christians, we are Muslims, we are religious, we are going to heaven. Which heaven? So we need to, anyway, the ministry will, this ministry that I lead will strengthen coordination among security agencies and national government administration structure so that emerging risks are identified early, assessed jointly, and addressed lawfully. Security operations during the electoral period must be professional, accountable, and sensitive to community confidence. There will be no room for political violence, intimidation, organized gangs, incitement, or the use of criminal networks as instruments of political competition. I agree with the position that we need to have early warnings. So the most effective security response is the one that prevents violence before it starts. I have been accused of public saying, oh, we know some politicians, you're planning this, we know you're doing this. You need to differentiate between, and then people say, okay, so why don't you arrest them? Why don't you arrest them? Why are you not, We must also differentiate between intelligence and evidence, When we have security intelligence, we use it to warn people. It's part of the, early warning. We use it to expose the politicians or the actors who will want to destroy our country. We use it to warn citizens and to ask them to cooperate. But what amounts to ability for a police officer to arrest someone and take to court is when you have evidence, not intelligence. And if you're a lawyer, you will understand the difference between the two. Because we, in the security sector, are consumer of intelligence information that may not stand the test of court as evidence, we have to use that information to warn people early, to tell them we know some people are trying to do this. Sometimes you position police officers in certain areas in the event that they actualize what you have collected in the evidence. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But you use that for deployment and for positioning. And therefore, when people say, why did you arrest these people early? They do not reach the threshold where you can arrest. You will arrest, you will present them before court, you will be told, you will actually be told that you're using rumors to arrest people. So early warning is very important. And therefore, we welcome the roadmap's emphasis on conflict mapping, early warning, early response, mediation, peace and cohesion monitors, and continuous monitoring of electoral environment. I propose, Chair, that it is not enough to identify areas that are likely to have certain instances of violence, goons or violence or inter-ethnic conflict and so forth. It is also important to profile the leaders who are propagators of those instances. So I will be very happy and will support NCIC if we can work together to make public information about leaders who are inciting people, as well as the areas that have a possibility of that incitement. The ministry will work with NCIC and other institutions to strengthen information sharing and coordination. And we want to appreciate the National Intelligence Service because they do a very good job in collecting information that is necessary for early warning. And it's important for once that information is relayed to the various institutions, we share all of us so that we can prevent. In some instances, we need you in places like, for example, Transmara, where you saw the report the other day, where two people fought in a bar. And then within hours, not days, within hours, it became intercommunity conflict. So in such areas, you require NCIC because to work together with our Ngao officers to call for barazas, engage people. And that's the same in a number of pastoralist areas when we're required to do the same. So hotspot mapping must be dynamic. We must monitor changing patterns of tension, including political mobilization, community disputes, organized criminal activity, inflammatory messaging, and localized conflict. Focus should be on preventing crisis through foresight, intelligence, dialogue, and coordinated intervention rather than managing the results. I should not be saying much, but allow me, PCS, because you are our chief guest, just to add a few more things to this, is that when we tell people it is good to have early warning, we mean so. It's not because the police are unable. I like what somebody said here about rights holders and duty bearers. I think the chair of IBC. A right holder is also a duty bearer. You know, you cannot be a consumer of rights and you, at the same time, you have no duty to observe the rights of others and to protect the rights of others. The National Police Service has done a lot. It's just that I've been telling the IG, you need to talk more. It shouldn't be the cabinet secretary alone. You need to speak about the things you have done to prevent violence. We have arrested so many people. Let me start by saying, in 2024 and 2025 protests, and even 2026 protests, in 2024 especially, when goons and criminals came to the city, burned the property, destroyed lives, at that point in time, the national psyche was that it was our youth. In fact, some of the instances of violence in 2024 protests were celebrated in some churches. And people given platform and said we must protect. Even bishops were publicly saying we don't want our youth to be harassed. They must be given the space to do what they need to do. Last year, the same. Property destroyed. A police station in Kikuyu was raided. A court in Kikuyu was burned. Olkalau police station was burned. Shops were burned. All those kinds of people, properties looted. What was the response, the national psyche politically? These are our youth. We should not be arrested. We arrested 3,000 people and presented in court. Some, including politicians, were charged in a court of law for terror because of the acts they were propagating to terrorize people. What happened? They were given bail terms, very lenient ones, 1,500, or some others were released, and they left and say, and so the judiciary, the magistrates were feeling like they're exercising democracy. So those things have now, mutated to political circles. Now everybody is coming out to say, we must fight goons. But when we were saying these people are goons, some people were cheering. That's why I'm saying this is a collective responsibility for all of us to make sure that we deal with this issue. Let me give another example. In Homa Bay, the other day, the National Police Service deployed police officers to escort Linda Wananchi campaigners, both in Sindo and Nyandiwa. It was during the day. And everybody can see the pictures were there. Police were escorting Orengo and the team. They went to the rally. They did 2 rallies. They finished the rallies. When they were going to Homa Bay town, at about 6 p.m., it's becoming dark. The county security team and the regional security team advised them that it is good to call off the rally because it's dark. And you can see there are incidences of violence here. Please call off the rallies. What did they say? They say they must go to town. We must exercise our democracy. What happened? 1 police officer died, 4 of them were injured, cars were burned, and so forth. Later, when I told people that the best thing at that point in time was the politicians to call off the rally and come another day. What is happening now in the media spaces? Oh, the minister is speaking irresponsibly. Do you want to tell me that political leaders have no duty, and they do not have duty at that point in time, in darkness, to tell their supporters, there is another day we will come here? Do you want to say that it was police had to be there by all means, even in darkness, without giving that warning that we want to have? Ladies and gentlemen, we advise the people who organize rallies that we have rights to have rallies and political rights, but we have responsibility to work with the security team to ensure that we protect our people. And that's why when I say these things, I see people cracking jokes around it. This is not a joking matter. The national security architecture, the cabinet secretary telling you here, I'm not speaking about my own things. I'm speaking about assessed security information. That there will be times that the citizens will be told, enough is enough, let's go home. It is not fair to lose lives in the circumstance and the environment that we are in, so that then we can safeguard the lives of the people of Kenya. Lastly, let me say 2 last things. As a ministry last year, we established what is called Jukwaa la Usalama. Jukwaa la Usalama was not baraza for the sake of, some people thought it was just minister going around the country. It's a concept that we established that, and we have told our county security teams and regional security teams, and particular county and sub-county security teams, that it was not a one-off thing. The cabinet secretary cannot come around all the time, but we were establishing Jukwaa la Usalama Forum to bring together security actors, including those people who are playing security role in the civil society and in the community, to have a conversation about issues that are happening around their community, and to take advantage of the structure of Jukwaa la Usalama as a platform for early warning, conflict prevention, and